the point of art is to evoke passion and beauty, like the admiration of something striking. If something strikes you, whether it's because, oh, this is really pretty and it made me stop, or something strikes you as in like, this is really terrifying and scary and it made me stop. If it makes you stop, then it's doing its purpose.
Boistory is the embodiment of a creative leader.
His music was so good, like you had to find out who it was.
He was so multifaceted. It was never just about the song, it was about the emotion, the vulnerability.
The way that he would come up with certain melodies, and I'll just be like, how did you even do that?
He would ask questions that like nobody really thought about. He would ask me about like show them camp and specific moments and what the feeling was and how I dealt with that feeling at that time.
There was a time he literally DM'd me on Twitter, like he had seen a meme that he didn't understand why people were laughing about, and he saw me comment on the meme, or like I think retweet the meme, and so he DM'd me and was like, hey, like I saw you reposted this, but I don't understand, can you explain it to me? And so he just always wanted to understand, and I think like that's such an amazing thing when you have a friend like that.
He loved all genres, you know. I would come into the room and he would be listening to rock, and he would be listening with an intent, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm listening to the elements. I'm sure there's something here that I can add to my music.
It goes beyond something you can really define in words. He was born special.
I remember going to London for the video shoot for Bebe and Cinnamon and just seeing how happy he was. But I remember looking at him that day and the way he was styled, and he wore these really like cool clothes, and I just remember thinking, this guy is a star.
He was unique in his craft, in his being, and he was not short of love for everyone.
Although it may hurt that we may never physically get to see him show the world this gift that he had, and that we knew it was something in the studio, we still have a chance to put the world on and to get him to hear something special about the boy's story for real, because it's quite extraordinary.
I really want the world to hear what we heard. I really want the world to hear the talent that he possesses. I really want the world to see that, you know, even in a small way, he'll live forever with this music he has created.
We'll miss him forever.
Love you, Papa Kwame. Love you, Papa.
We love you.
I think many artists feel deeply, isn't it? Like, I think those who feel must create. Like, I do believe that. Like, it kind of just comes with the territory.
I heard about Boistory in 2021, and I was in the studio with Odunsi when he asked me if I knew about Boistory, and I said no. He's like, you should tap in. He's from Ghana and Nigeria, and he's currently living in South Africa. And then he played me Bebe, and I was very intrigued, but I was also losing my mind because that song was amazing.
I was in a writing camp in Accra, and my friend Radical played me Boistory's music for the first time. Immediately I was like, who is that? What is this music? How do I get in touch with this guy? Like, because his choice of melodies, his pen was super witty. His choices for me were so interesting because, you know, in music you kind of hear people use the same melody patterns and you kind of anticipate where people are going to go with their music. But his, I could never predict. His sonic choices, and he was also a producer as well, made a lot of sense.
I hit him up and we started talking. Started sharing music, and then he told me one day he was coming to Accra. I was like, cool, you know, let's lock in. So he came and we spent most of that trip just working on music. I didn't know he had a manager. I didn't know anything about it. So I met a random guy at a party and he was like, yo, what are you working on? And I just started going on about this kid that I just met And we're talking and we're talking. I was like, this guy's amazing. I'm going to put everything in him. I think he's the next one. And the guy's like, what's his name? And I'm like, his name is Boistory. He pauses. He's like, Boistory. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I manage him. And I was like, what? So that was the first time I met King.
Tell me you love me, I won't call. Tell me you want me, I won't beg. Tell me you need me, I won't ask you if it's real. In your face.
Potential that he had, I saw it clear as day. It was very bright and I couldn't ignore it. I couldn't not talk to people about it. So I spoke to everyone about Boistory, you know. I had a meeting with Wale, and the only reason I wanted to go there was to tell him all about Boistory. So I played him all the songs we had worked on, and Wale couldn't believe it. Immediately it resonated with him.
He's one of the most remarkable talents I've ever come across. You know, and when I met him finally, it was even more than I expected. You know, he came with his big hair, he came with his cheeky smile. He came to Lagos with Efua and his manager, King, and they spent some time with us, went to homecoming.
A few months later, Boistory was signed. And since then, he's also been writing for him. And that's just the kind of a person Boistory is. He draws people to him, and because he has such genuine energy and a truly earnest outlook in life, and he's so down to earth.
Going on a musical journey with him, with Mars, was a no-brainer. In fact, if anything, I was proud that he chose us to be his home.
She gonna ride tonight, like, she say you're invited.
I remember when Wale brought Boistory, brought Ekene as well to the studio to meet me for the first time. And I remember asking him to come to the studio, so I was wondering why he brought these other brethren, you know, around as well. That all changed when he started to play me his music. And, you know, I remember telling Tech, like, you got a talent on your hands. You know, it's very clear about the vision, very clear about the sound. And I was very excited because I feel like the generation that's been coming after us is so precise about what they want. And I still want to see his music see the light of day.
So the first time I heard Boistory was in Jamaica while he was playing music, and I was like, who's this guy? He was like, this guy called Boistory, man. And I was like, bro, I need to work with him.
When we first ever went to Lagos, Wale introduced us to him. And we were recording in our Airbnb, just some backing vocals. I can't remember who for, but just on a random tune. And it was us, another amazing producer called Sazi, and Boistory. And we were all just recording backing vocals and having a great time. And I've got an amazing video on my phone of that.
I first met Ozo in a library, which was probably the first and last time I ever saw Ozo in a library. We also lived together for 2 years in the Douglas Leadership House. And during that time, I would say we got pretty close and he became a really good friend to me.
It's even funny how we met because like I was in the studio with Boistory, and you know that was Boistory. Meanwhile, I've been sending him beats and we've been working on it. And then Radical was like, bro, this is Joey. Joey, this is Boistory. And then we started laughing until I'm like, boy, Joey. Because like we had no idea how we even look in place.
Boistory is one of those artists that was able to go within to create music that drew people to him, and not necessarily what people wanted.
That's our style, June. Showtime.
Oh, it is.
Feel me. I feel you. Yes, sir.
He was really smart and funny and cheeky. I remember him being very cheeky. And he was just really excited to be making music.
He held space for everybody. He didn't judge anyone, even people that you would think he had permission to. And I carry that with me, and I think it's something that the whole world could benefit from.
Also had immense passion and commitment to music, but to all things art.
His ability to create music out of nothing, music that you've never had, sound, the voice, it was amazing.
He was so loving to everyone. He was creative from a very young age. He used to write poems and sing songs to us.
The intentionality behind what he created, he had a vision in his head. He wanted to see it come to life exactly the way it was in his head.
He was like very, very attentive and very caring and just so confident in the way that he spoke, and he genuinely wanted to know like what I thought and how I felt about certain things.
He had a very clear sense of like his creative direction, his purpose, his taste. You couldn't rush him to a decision.
You could tell that he connected to music in a way that I think is really rare. And honestly, listening to any of his music it's a magical experience.
The other day I was a bit sad, and the first song that popped up on my playlist was Ore, and I feel like that is a testament to how much he will still remain with us through every single thing that he has done.
He had an unending pool of creativity, and there were so many projects on his laptop that I know never saw the light of day, but it's because he constantly used and exercised his creativity that it got better and better and better.
He cared so much about the people around him, about his team. He would do random check-ins. He was very, very, very keen on making sure everybody was okay at any point in time.
He had a true love for his craft, and I would always be so excited to get my friends to listen to his music.
He had amazing taste. He didn't just listen to music that was popular, but he also listened to music that was made for the sake of making great art.
His willingness to just do things with his friends, he never really questioned much. He just enjoyed spending time with people, and whatever that looked like, he was so open to experiencing life and things with his friends in whatever form or shape that would come in.
He always had a great smile on. He just radiated this warmth, this sunshine energy that kind of drew people to him and made everybody kind of comfortable around him.
Boistory to me was a brother. I remember when I saw the name Boistory, I was just like, it's only Ozzy that can think about such a name, I know Ozzy as Ozzy Wuzzy. Sometimes I even go the way to say Ozzy Wuzzy Lemon Squeezy.
He had such an infectious joy and laughter and love about him, and I am honored to have been able to experience that for as long as I did.
I remember Efra calling me over to a blanket on the quad on one of the first days of my sophomore year to meet her younger brother. I don't really remember anything we talked about that day, but I remember he was playing music. And from that moment on, I don't think I ever saw him without music being around.
We were on the same a cappella group. And I remember every time we'd go on stage, right before I'd ask him, so what's the color? So he could tell me the key. When we'd sing, he'd take the high note and I'd take the one right below. That's how our harmonies were made. And I always keep thinking about that every note mentioned a hue, that Boistory knew the color of every song.
Something we shared in common was art and music. So for music, Papa Kwame introduced me to artists I have held so dear to me since the time they were introduced to me, like The Weeknd and Frank Ocean. These are artists I listen to in my everyday life and I cherish so much.
He was a musical genius, a musical talent. He pushed me a lot in terms of, taking music a bit more seriously. I unfortunately didn't continue with it, but it definitely took him farther than anyone would have thought, except maybe him. He had a lot of self-belief in his artistry, and that's probably my favorite aspect about him.
Early last year, he came and stayed with me because he had a recording session in the studio, and he was telling me about all the big names who were going to be there, and he was so happy, and it just showed the passion that he had for music as an artist, and it was very true and very pure.
I remember when I was working with him on a music video, which was like a full circle moment for me because I was introduced to his music a year prior by a friend, and I immediately fell in love. Just that short space of time and me seeing how he thought about music, how he thought about artistry, and like few short conversations we had, they were very impactful to me, and I am honestly really grateful that I got to know him.
Another day to fear for my sinuses, and I don't die 6 times already, and I don't cry, I just keep spending, never ending. We could die in no telly, so baby.
Would do his Usher Chris Brown impression where he'd move his head in a circle and you just see his big head of hair moving around in a circle, and it was just so funny.
The way he calls me, hello mommy, with a very deep voice, and then a cock to the head, and he's like, how are you? And I will always remember his smile and his cheeky grin sometimes.
On this particular night, we made a shared playlist, and it was the first night he showed me his lyric notebook. Because I love poetry, we would sit and he would show me his voice demos and his lyrics, and I would just analyze, and we'd go through together to see what the different meanings of his songs could be and how that changes with the mixing.
When I started to help him manage some of the more creative projects in his career, he was always nervous sharing his art. So I started doing with him what I called the car test, and we would go into my car and we would blast his demos. And that's how we would always determine if he had a hit on his hands. And I remember one day I was just so busy running around with school and life, and we were supposed to meet up. And I was thinking that he forgot all about the card test. But as soon as I picked him up, he looked at me excited and he said, so are we gonna test it? And that was really funny and special, just because it reminded me of the connection that we shared with music. And how important it was to both of us, that we were willing to go beyond and do things that seemed silly to other people just to make sure that we had the right sound.
One of my favorite memories with boistory is when Childish Gambino's Awaken My Love was released. And then I think a Sunday morning, we got a speaker and we laid down on the grass, on the quad at ALA, and we just, stared at the blue sky, at the trees, and just took in the music. And afterwards, we talked about how it made us feel, what themes we were getting out of it, talking about art and life in general.
My favorite memory of him is walking around the whole campus in the middle of all the craziness, playing on his JBL speaker, playing some grooves. Why are you doing this? Because there's so much noise. Why don't we just put some good music into people's lives? And then he started a revolution because you could Bluetooth the same song, and it's just music playing all over the campus.
My favorite memory of him is his ability to love without counting the cost, and to always make everyone that comes to him feel special, loved, and respected.
He would make time to have conversations between meetings, and just making sure that we actually had time to be friends outside of the work. And it was something I truly admired about him. After he passed, I came to realize that he was like this with all his relationships.
I think that he had this rare talent of creating space for honesty and vulnerability.
My favorite memory of him would have to be every single hug. I would say that I am a hugger now, because of how Ozo used to hug me.
Being the first to introduce me to having cereal with cold milk. It was Cookie Crisp, and he was eating it, and I was like, what are you doing? Because we always had it warm. And he made me try his cereal, and I was forever changed.
My favorite memory of him actually is when I was trying to mix music because I had a dance performance coming up. And all the way from a different country and continent, he responded enthusiastically and immediately to my message request to have the songs mixed. And I was very shy to talk to him, but he's like, we're going to make magic happen here. So just tell me what you need and we'll get it done. And so he makes the first music I ever did when I debuted, and I always promised to dance to his music.
I asked him to be the headlining singer for the Black Emporium, and I remember I thought he was such a special artist, and his music really connected and was really good, and I was like, yeah, you should be the headliner. And he later told me that I was his first booking ever, and I was like, this is such an honor. It was such an honor to have him in the Black Emporium, and I really think that his music had such ability to touch everybody. And despite the borders or despite where they're from, I think his music really had a calling to everybody.
My favorite memory with Ozo is the day we shot the music video for Gbana, his song with Toro. They wanted to shoot a scene at a party. And so what they did is that, they reached out to friends and people in the community and stuff and invited them to a park that was next to the University of Rochester campus. And we just had like a party out there, for the music video. And it was cool because so many people showed up, so many friends and people we knew showed up. And it was just this big community gathering that happened, and all those people that showed up to support, that song. And I think when you watch the video, you can see what that song meant to us at the time.
I would just say it was life with him, where every moment was meaningful, every moment was intentional, every call, whether if it's related to music or just what it means to be a good human being and an artist that makes music that has a meaning.
Something coming back to me. I've been digging pockets in my mind, but nothing there. I'm just being honest. Our best promise.
What message would you like to share with the world about his legacy?
Ozo loved creating music. He loved helping people with music. He loved discussing music. And even though he had to do other things, music was such a central part of his life.
The message of his legacy to the world, I think, would be to be brave and to trust what you've been given and to do whatever you do with love.
We are his legacy. The people that listen to his music are his legacy. The people that champion him as he championed them in life.
I'm so deeply inspired by everything that he was able to create. He truly, truly was an artist in every sense of the word.
The stuff, the craft he made, everything he touched was just gold. And I want his spirit to live on through his music because his is fire. Fire.
Ozo didn't leave his dreams in his sleep. He lived them out. And we get to see that now, and we'll forever get to enjoy his amazing art and music for generations to come.
The joy and just the sheer happiness that you get from listening to his music, something about him, his personality, his music all together was just something that was it was joyful.
That he's leaving behind really wonderful music, an amazing community of friends and family that will always keep his memory alive.
His legacy that he leaves is that personal touch that he has on everything and everyone that he meets. I feel like everyone felt like he was his best friend.
He truly understood that in that same 24 hours, you could have the best day, but you could also have the worst day. So that's a message that is really close to me and guides me daily, both personally and in business, to always be able to see the blessings in the mess.
His music lives on, his creativity lives on. I'm just excited to hear so much of the unreleased music that he and Radical worked on. I was able to hear the beginning stages. I wonder what it's like now. And yeah, let's all live like Ozo.
I'm very convinced that once you listen to the music, you will understand him a little bit better.
I feel grateful for knowing him. I feel grateful for having shared in his passion. I feel grateful for even just being a part of his life. So I know that in the physical form, he's not here anymore, but I feel that music lives forever. I feel memories live forever. And I know because of those two things that boistory will live forever.
So my message to anyone and everyone is to be you. Allow who you are to play a significant role in whatever it is you wish to do on this earth.
Yeah, that's my boistory story. I miss you, though. I love you.
Boistory's legacy was not just in what he did,
but the way that he made others believe in themselves, even if it was just for a moment. And we carry them forward in the dreams that we chase, the love and kindness that we share, and the truths that we dare to speak because of who he was.
God, wherever you are, I love you. One star.